They went, what? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy?
That's right.
He's straight. I went, oh, please. Give me Goldberg.
Has he been with Eddie
Murphy? Me?
Yeah. I'm not.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that, when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning.
Many conspiracies came out that Murphy had Shalomar ended because her death just didn't make sense.
Do you believe Eddie Murphy was going to find a book to read at 4 in the morning with his wife gone out overseas? Man. I mean, just from your experience.
Eddie Murphy, that's bullshit. I'm Eddie Murphy. I watch all this movie, man, but man, you don't accidentally pick up a transvestite.
Yo, the internet is straight up spiraling right now. People are saying Eddie Murphy might have gotten away with something crazy, allegedly being involved in the mysterious death of a trans woman named Shalomar back in 1997. And guess what? Some old footage just leaked showing Eddie with her shortly before she passed, and the situation around her death, super sketchy.
Big-time celebrities that go around in their cars picking up trans, having with them, and then getting on national TV making fun of them. Our whole world is being run by undercover that run around talking about how straight they are.
Shalomar was a big name in LA's underground scene, and folks have been whispering about this story for years. But now, it's getting loud, because not only did clips of Eddie and Shalomar pop up, but now even more old grainy footage is coming out. This time, it's of other trans women who were working the same streets back then, and they're coming forward saying Eddie and other big names in Hollywood allegedly paid them hush money to stay quiet. But that ain't even the wildest part. There's a whole new theory going viral, and it's got people shook. It claims that powerful Hollywood elites, including Eddie, have way more trans children than the average person. And folks are wondering if that's really just by chance. Why? Because earlier this month, it was revealed that Angel, the daughter of Eddie Murphy and Mel B, now identifies as a trans man. Now, some are saying it's just a coincidence, while others are convinced something deeper is going on behind the scenes.
Police say he is guilty of no misconduct, but there was a warrant out for the alleged prostitute. A judge has ordered that man, 20-year-old Addison Ciuli, to serve 90 days in jail.
Now here's where things take a dark twist, and some folks are convinced that certain celebs actually cut secret deals, like letting their kids transition publicly in exchange for keeping old skeletons locked in the closet. Yeah, it's wild. But with all this fresh dirt popping up about Eddie Murphy and the trans woman Shalomar, including tapes, receipts, and rumors of hush money, it's looking like Eddie's past is crawling back up to bite him big time. And trust, this rabbit hole goes way deeper than we thought.
Oh yeah, after all these years that I just think, and they went, what? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy?
Right.
He's straight. I went, oh please, give me Goldberg.
Wait a minute. What do you think he was doing? What do you think the situation was? Let me hear your scenario.
Oh, not only Eddie Murphy,
many others. I know a lot of girls.
That
I know a lot of girls.
What's the other? Eddie Murphy got arrested with a transvestite, transsexual prostitute. Okay, well, goody. That means she's gonna make some money, and he gets what he deserves. That's how.
Good.
Yeah, that made him even a bigger star.
Yeah, and the poor little girl that's like crawling streets at 4 o'clock in the morning to earn a living.
Like Divine.
Like what's his name?
Divine Brown.
Divine Brown. Yeah. She made a lot of money.
Yeah.
He should go right to all of the
So you
papers.
could get the same thing. You could be the same kind of thing.
But I don't want that.
But
I don't need it. I don't need
She doesn't need the money.
Hollywood Lawn is
She doesn't need the money.
The dirt tell she's been to bed with Eddie Murphy. And who else have you been to bed with?
Has he been with Eddie?
Murphy? Me?
Yeah. I'm not
Now, be honest, Hollywood Lawn. Now, be honest with me. Look at me, girl. Look at me careful. Now, did you been to bed with some of these stars in Hollywood now? You know you have. She has too.
A lot of sleazy.
Like sleazy. But
just recently, A stack of old interviews, lost clips, and dusty tabloid articles started resurfacing, all pointing toward Eddie's long-running connection to the trans community, especially in late-night scenes back in the day. But the wildest bomb? An old-school story from the late trans actress Holly Woodlawn. Back in the early 80s, Holly sold a juicy exclusive to the National Enquirer, dropping details about her own alleged experience with Eddie Murphy. And if that wasn't enough, she even filmed a video interview that same week where she spilled the full tea, unfiltered. Eddie's reaction? He snapped back fast, dragging Holly and a few others into court with a defamation lawsuit. But here's where it gets real shady. That lawsuit Eddie filed, it mysteriously disappeared. No explanation, no follow-up, just gone. And in that same interview, Holly straight up laughed at the idea that Eddie was straight, which is what he claimed after getting caught red-handed picking up another trans woman on Santa Monica Boulevard. Holly even hinted that she and Eddie had their own private moment and didn't hold back on the details.
And Eddie Murphy has a run-in with the law this morning. In this case, it involves a transvestite prostitute. Reporter Juan Fernandez is live in Hollywood, California with the latest for us tonight. Juan?
Well, Al, when Eddie Murphy picked up this Hollywood hooker, he had no idea that right behind him were a pair of vice cops.
Deputies conducted a traffic stop of the car a few blocks away, at which time they learned that the driver was actor Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was let go. Police say up to that point, nothing illegal had happened. But 20-year-old Addison Ciuli was cuffed and hauled away. A warrant was already out for his arrest.
And on May 29th, Judge Barry Taylor issued a warrant in the amount of $15,000 for his arrest and revoked his probation. He was brought to court today on that warrant.
And remember when Holly talked about that street worker Eddie picked up at 4 a.m.? Yeah, she was talking about Shalomar. Now fast forward. A dusty old paparazzi video just resurfaced showing the exact moment police pulled Eddie over with a young trans woman sitting beside him. And that woman? It was 20-year-old Shalomar Ciuli, right there in the passenger seat. So let's break it down.
Eddie Murphy says he did nothing wrong. He says he saw this person on the sidewalk looking rather restless. And all he did, he says, was offer them a ride home.
Shalomar Ciuli was a trans woman originally from Samoa. She even won the Miss Island Queen pageant in '93. After chasing her dream of becoming a fashion designer, she moved to LA hoping to make it big. But when things didn't work out, she ended up working the streets along Santa Monica Boulevard, and she was out there long enough that even the LAPD knew her by name. So here's what went down on May 2nd, 1997. LAPD was already watching Shalomar when they spotted her hopping into Eddie Murphy's SUV. Just minutes later, cops swooped in, pulled them over, and grilled Eddie for a solid 30 minutes. And what did Eddie say? He claimed he was just giving her a ride home. And get this, he also said he had no clue she was biologically male.
Murphy says he has often stopped to try to help prostitutes, but here is what he said in an impromptu news conference on the set of his new movie.
Being a good Samaritan blew up in my face, basically, that. And I'm never giving anyone a lift again.
Now Eddie may have walked free that night, but Shalomar wasn't so lucky. She got arrested on an outstanding warrant, and from there, chaos erupted. Suddenly, their late-night encounter turned into front-page news, cameras flashing, headlines popping, and the media swarmed Shalomar every step of the way. From the jailhouse to court hearings, the spotlight was blazing. Meanwhile, Eddie kicked into full damage control, smiling for the cameras, spinning his version of the story like a pro. He told the press he was just doing a good deed, being a good Samaritan, helping someone in need. But then Eddie's story took a wild left turn. In a follow-up interview with Ed, Eddie claimed he was out at 4 a.m. on the Hollywood Strip because he was looking for a book to read. Back then, Eddie tried to play it cool, saying his wife, Nicole Mitchell, was out of the country and he just randomly decided to go out searching for a good book at 4 in the morning. Yeah, that was the official story. And even back then, it sounded sketchy.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells ET that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning. He says he thought he was aiding a distraught woman.
Looks like a pretty Hawaiian girl in the corner crying. It looks like she was crying. She goes, oh, Eddie Murphy. She noticed him at the light. She recognized Eddie Murphy. Oh, my God. So I go, what are you doing? Why are you out here working the streets so late? She goes, oh, I'm on my way home. Can you give me a ride home?
But now, with all these new clips, resurfaced interviews, and witness accounts, that story sounds flat out ridiculous. Even Pimpin' Ken weighed in recently on Real Life Productions, and he didn't hold back. He said straight up, Eddie knows dang well nobody bought that book story. And the internet agrees, this wasn't about no book. But things take a serious turn here because just under a year after that late night run-in with Eddie, tragedy struck. On the morning of April 22nd, 1998, a dog walker made a chilling discovery. Shalomar Sue Lee's lifeless body was found sprawled out on the sidewalk right outside her apartment building in Koreatown, Los Angeles. According to police, Shalomar had fallen from the 5th floor and died from severe head trauma. The official word? Accidental death. No drugs, no alcohol. That's what the autopsy showed. But here's what's making everybody side-eye this whole situation. Yeah.
A clip of Eddie Murphy right now is going viral of him back in the 90s talking about how his wife and kids left the house. He woke up at 4 in the morning and wanted to go find a book to read and end up picking up a transvestite. And he felt sorry for the transvestite, so he wanted to give the transvestite a ride home because the transvestite was crying, on a wall. He told that story to the media and they clapped, and this is going viral right now. Do you believe Eddie Murphy was going to find a book to read at 4 in the morning with his wife gone out overseas? Man, I mean, just from your experience.
Eddie Murphy, that's bullshit. I'm Eddie Murphy. I watch all this movie, man, but man, you don't accidentally pick up a transvestite. You know what I'm saying? That ain't happening, man. You know what I'm saying? It did, first of all, man, you know what I'm saying?
Right around.
You know what I'm saying? All the money he got, man, why would you be on the strip picking up a transvestite, whatever you call it? You know what I'm saying? I don't believe it. I think it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Murphy, but to me, that's some straight bullshit. Man, listen, man, you know what I'm saying? If I pick up, if I see a man, he dressed like a woman, and I see him, I'm not gonna feel sorry for him.
He said he was trying to be a good Samaritan.
But suppose he could be a robber. He might not be a real transvestite. I mean, he could be setting you up. A lot of dudes dress like women and they put makeup on and all that stuff, and they robbing these tricks out here.
The coroner's report specifically mentioned that a neighbor heard a loud scream around 5 a.m., right around the time Shalomar died. That little detail about the 5 a.m. scream, it had a lot of people thinking this wasn't some random accident. Maybe Shalomar didn't fall. Maybe she was pushed. Her friends and family definitely weren't buying the official story. One of her closest friends, a well-known drag queen named Viva, told the Village Voice that the cops didn't even try to investigate properly. Viva said, to them, it's just another hooker. The whole thing felt off, too quiet, too dismissed. Viva swore up and down that Shalomar wouldn't just slip and fall like that, and she asked the same question everybody's been wondering, why didn't the police dig deeper? But here's where it gets even more disturbing. Multiple women who worked the same streets as Shalomar claim she started getting threats after her encounter with Eddie Murphy blew up. According to them, random people would roll up on her and tell her to keep her mouth shut. Straight up intimidation.
First of all, how I met my first transgendered person who had claimed she had been with Eddie Murphy in the past was I literally went to a bar that was, I can't remember the name of it, it was on Yucca, just south of Hollywood Boulevard. By that newsstand, the World News, where Eddie had stopped that night. Yes. And I sat at the bar. One night goes by. I'm friends with the bartender now. I'm tipping him well. I'm talking to him, and he finally got me to one of the women, and she said, "Oh yeah, I've been with Eddie. He likes, he has a foot fetish, and also Colonel Candy has been with him, and so and so and so and so." I went and I said, "So what's the deal?" And she said, "Well, the deal is that Eddie Murphy's lawyer, Marty Singer, who's in the news these days for other things, basically I told my story to the tabloids, and he paid me $15,000 to change my story." And I said, "Well, interesting. Okay, can you prove that?" This woman kept records, and she handed me a check and her IRS, everything. She had everything. And it was signed by Marty Singer.
And her own brother David told Globe magazine that Shalomar became extremely paranoid in the months after that scandal. He said she believed someone had put a hit on her, and just hearing Eddie's name would send her spiraling into full panic mode. It got so bad she started bouncing from place to place, constantly switching up locations to stay safe. But here's the twist. There were rumors flying around that Shalomar had been planning to go public. Word was she was getting ready to expose not just Eddie, but a whole circle of high-profile Hollywood men who were secretly picking up trans street workers. While she was locked up, Shalomar had already spilled to the National Enquirer, and the check they cut her, she used that money to post bail and get out. In that interview, Shalomar straight up called Eddie's story bogus, saying he absolutely had other intentions when he picked her up that night, and she didn't hold back. She pointed out that exact stretch of Santa Monica was infamous as a known trans street worker hotspot. Shalomar didn't sugarcoat a thing. She told the Enquirer, "It's unfair. I went to jail while Eddie Murphy walked away spot-free." She said the only reason Eddie didn't get hit with a solicitation charge was because of who he was. A celebrity with power and protection.
Our whole world is being run by undercover that run around talking about how straight they are. People are so busy wasting their time bashing when they can be doing something a lot more positive. These are the people you have to worry about.
But this scandal didn't stop with Shalomar's side of the story. Oh no. Once her claims hit the tabloids, the floodgates opened. Dozens of other trans women came forward, each one with stories of their own late-night run-ins with Eddie Murphy. Eddie's reaction? He went on the offensive, filing million-dollar lawsuits left and right. He went after the Globe, the National Enquirer, and even the New York Times, accusing them of spreading lies and false info about him. But here's the kicker. Every single one of those lawsuits got quietly dropped or settled out of court. No trial, no public statements, just silence. And what's even more suspicious? All this legal drama happened right when Eddie was trying to revive his career after several box office flops. The timing of all this couldn't have been worse for Eddie. And according to some lawyers from the tabloids, the real reason he dropped those lawsuits was fear. They believe Eddie was terrified that if things went to trial, even more women would come out with their stories, and that could have blown everything wide open.
Big-time celebrities that go around in their cars picking up trans, having with them, and then getting on national TV making fun of them. Everything you do in life is like a boomerang. When you throw it, it eventually comes back.
But Eddie didn't just walk away quietly. Oh no, he called in the big guns. He hired powerhouse attorney Marty Singer and brought in Paul Barisi, a well-known Hollywood fixer and private investigator. Their mission? Hunt down every trans woman Eddie had been linked to and clean it up fast. Barisi reportedly tracked these women down one by one, offering them payouts to stay silent and take back everything they had said. And it didn't stop at money. He had them sign official affidavits and even film video statements claiming their original stories were lies. But here's the bombshell. Investigative journalist Mark Ebner said one of those trans women actually showed him IRS paperwork that proved she got $15,000 from Marty Singer's law firm to recant her story about hooking up with Eddie. That's not hearsay, that's receipts. For years, Eddie's been in full-on cleanup mode. His PR team worked overtime, pulling interviews, wiping news segments, and trying to erase every trace of the scandal. But now, the old receipts that Eddie thought were buried for good are popping back up like ghosts. And one of the most explosive ones is an old-school interview with the late legendary trans icon, Octavia St. Laurent. In it, she called Hollywood out, saying the industry is packed with down-low men who pretend to be straight in public while secretly chasing the very people they shame behind closed doors. Octavia didn't drop names, but it was clear who she was throwing shade at. She referenced the whole Shalomar situation without even blinking, and even brought up Eddie's movie Boomerang, the same film where he makes jokes at the expense of trans women. People connected the dots fast. Octavia was talking about Eddie, no doubt. She exposed how a lot of powerful Hollywood men would secretly pay for the company of gay men and trans women, but then walk around acting homophobic and anti-trans in public just to protect their image. Octavia was fearless, and she made it clear that many of these men hide behind the ladies' man mask. They stack up kids with different women just to look straight while covering up what's really going on. And when they can't reconcile their truth, some of that internal shame and anger gets taken out on the very women they're dating. Just look at Diddy. She name-dropped him as a prime example. And as for Eddie, after his scandal with trans street workers blew up, it's like he went into overdrive trying to prove he was the straight family man type. After the scandal, Eddie went full throttle with the ladies, constantly popping up with a new girlfriend on his arm like clockwork. He played the ladies' man role hard, and now he's got 10 kids by 5 different women. Talk about building an image, but when it comes to his kids, that's where the story takes another wild left turn. It was recently revealed that Eddie's daughter with Spice Girl Mel B, 18-year-old Angel, is now living as a trans man. Yep, Angel, who was born female, just updated the bio on his personal Instagram and publicly announced he wants to be referred to as he, him. The moment that news dropped, it reignited an old rumor that's been floating around for years, that some Hollywood elites allegedly make deals to raise one of their kids as trans. It sounds out there to some, but a growing number of people are saying this ain't just coincidence. While some folks roll their eyes and call it conspiracy talk, others are pointing to the rising number of celebs who have openly trans children. And they're asking, how is it that so many stars seem to fit that exact pattern? Even Cat Williams touched on it recently, saying he called this trend a long time ago.
You understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood that things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said both of those things. So I knew that both of those things will become popular in the future.
But he didn't stop there. He dropped hints that there might be something even darker behind it. Maybe even ritualistic or satanic in nature. And now, folks are saying it's all part of a deal. A trade for power, fame, or protection in the industry's darkest corners. Believe it or not, the timing of it all is too wild to ignore. Eddie Murphy's scandal with Shalomar, her mysterious and tragic death just months later, and now his daughter Angel coming out as a trans man. It's got the internet buzzing and people seriously questioning what's really going on behind those Hollywood gates. So let's talk about it. Is there something deeper happening that the public just isn't being told? Was Shalomar's death really just an accident? Or was she silenced before she could blow the lid off secrets involving other powerful men? And what do you think about this theory that some celebs might be signing off deals involving their own kids? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this one's got layers. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell so you never miss what we dig up next. See you in the next video. It's only getting messier from here.